Although 19th century photography was rudimentary, it played an active role in making exact copies of reality less present in art. This happened because the photograph could more efficiently capture details, which devalued artistic ability. This led to art movements like Impressionism and Post-Impressionism that are characterized by the use of bright colors when depicting outdoor scenes. Photography inspired artists to capture still-life portraits of everyday life, but also exploit the use of painting mediums, technique, and color, which photographers could not. Some famous artists from this time period include Claude Monet, Mary Cassatt, and Vincent van Gogh.
Events from the 1900s to the 1930s had a profound impact on art. Most notable was World War I, which lasted from 1914 to 1918.
Round 1. Fight!
World War I really did a number on art, as it revealed the bloodiness and ruthlessness of trench warfare and poison gassing. Also at the same time, artists and citizens alike were exposed to propaganda, which constantly villainized the enemy. By the time World War I was over, artists began to use bright, bold colors which created harsh contrasts. In the style, you could still see realistic elements, but art was slowly becoming more and more abstract. This artistic movement, called Fauvism, was a step towards Expressionism.
Bauhaus was an artistic institution that synchronized modernistic trends and architectural ideas by bringing together architects, designers, and painters from a variety of different countries. This style was largely adapted because of the less-than-ideal state of the economy and because of its focus on efficient design and a modernistic approach. This movement was started by Walter Gropius in Weimar in 1919. It was moved to Dessau, an industrial town near Berlin, in 1925. In 1928, Walter Gropius resigned from his position of leadership. Bauhaus was then taken over by Ludwig Mies van der Rohe in 1930. The Bauhaus style of architecture was based heavily on the concept of functionality and the need for the construction of large offices and apartments.
Even though art had been moving slowly away from reality due to photography, it was after World War I that it really broke away from reality.
Baby, come back. You can blame it all on me. I was wrong.
In the early 1920s, Surrealism, a cultural movement, had begun to occur. Being formed from the Dada activities post-World War I, Surrealism is an art form that contradicts the conditions of dream and reality, creating scenes of disillusionment and strange characters from everyday objects, developing new painting techniques that allows the unconscious to express itself. Some famous Surrealist artists are Salvador Dali, Andre Breton, and Max Ernst.
Picasso's profound contributions to abstract art through the Cubist movement are still remembered and appreciated today. After World War I, artists began to paint their own interpretations of reality because the former standards of good and bad art had disappeared. This gave way to an abstract movement known as Cubism. One of the most vital artists to the Cubist movement was Spanish painter Pablo Picasso. His painting Les Demoiselles d'Avignon was considered the beginning of Cubism because the women depicted in this painting are broken up and redrawn with geometric shapes. The first phase of Cubism was known as analytical Cubism because the artist would analyze a subject from many different viewpoints and reconstruct it with geometric shapes. After 1912, analytical Cubism was replaced by synthetic Cubism, which had a more direct, colorful, and decorative style. These paintings featured interchanging lines, colors, patterns, and textures. Picasso's works are symbols of the transition into modern art.
During the Cold War, the United States experienced an increase in consumerism. They mass-produced a greater quantity of consumer goods as opposed to Russia, who focused more on producing industrial goods. This rise in consumerism was clearly demonstrated through a new art movement known as pop art. The term pop art is short for popular art. This is because subjects of pop art were often commonplace things in American culture. These objects or people were then shown in an artistic way through repetition, high contrast, or bright colors. The reason that pop art was so popular was because it used strategies found in advertising. Some famous pop artists include Andy Warhol and Roy Lichtenstein.